Good evening, everyone. Today I'm taking my storytelling out of Europe and going all the way to the southernmost southern point of the African continent, Cape Town, South Africa. Ta-da, South Africa. It's not that exotic anymore, but still, it's worth a visit. Since this was more than a decade ago, please excuse the fact that I don't really have any video. I'll just show you some pictures. It'll be one of those, hey, this is my holiday trip. Why am I even doing this video? Cape Town, mind you, is one of the most peaceful places, big places, apparently, in South Africa. You hear a lot of scary stories about what's going on in South Africa, and everybody kills everybody, everybody shoots everybody, and you know, if you're a tourist and if you're white, then you'll be like the victim of racial hate and all that. Anyway, so I landed in Cape Town really early in the morning. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was affected, of course, by all these warnings and this is a very dangerous place, don't go there, don't do this, don't take an unlisted taxi because they will rape and murder you and take all your money and all that. So I had heard all of these scary stories and I thought, okay, you know, I'll be robbed at gunpoint, so I'll not take my chances. I'll wait until sunlight and then I'll go to my hotel. So I sat at the airport reading a book, doing, you know, having a long ass coffee until, you know, sunrise. When I reached my hotel, my bags were picked up and I was told that my room would be ready ASAP. So I sat down in the lobby and had a coffee and read my book until I was told I could go up to my room. So I asked for my bags then, but they said that someone will bring it. I'm not used to this princessing royalism, someone will bring my bags. I mean, I can carry my own bags, thank you very much. They kept saying, yeah, someone will bring up my bags. So I was waiting and I was waiting, and then I called down to the reception asking them, like, can I just come down please to get my bags? They had some guy unlock a safe storage and get my bags out, and he would carry them. Because obviously if I carry my own bags, then nobody's gonna get a tip. Which is fine, just let me have my goddamn bags so I can take my goddamn hot bath. Well, actually, I went down to South Africa to get my diver's certificate. And why would I go all the way down to South Africa to get my diver's certificate? Because why not? If you get your diver's certificate in the Nordics, you're probably not going to see anything underwater because there's like nothing to see anyways. We were like diving these kelp forests. If you don't know what kelp forest is, it's like huge ass seaweed. You just dive down into it. It's so amazing. And we kept to the Atlantic side all the time, and I dove in like 12-13 degree water all the time. But it was fine. Mostly what it does, it ignites your appetite afterwards because you're burning a bunch of fat carrying all your scuba crap in the first place because it's really heavy. But then, you know, you're burning a lot of fat because you need to keep your body warm, obviously. So you get really hungry afterwards. There were penguins there! They were awesome! We saw whales in the sea as well. We just saw them at a distance. But there were penguins, and they were not at a distance. Like, you could reach out your hand and pat them. As I mentioned, I was in Cape Town more than 10 years ago, which was right before the World Cup. So the stadium, the football stadium, was still being built. It was pretty interesting to see. Oh yeah, and this was about the time when Jacob Zuma was in the tabloids all the time as the new presidential candidate, the fresh face that may or may not be very good for the country. Lots of hope. And this was just before the time when the United States fudged up the whole world economy. Interesting times. So finally I got my certificate and I went into town to celebrate. And I had been told, and I'd read along the line how dangerous this place was. Only use registered taxis, don't ever get into an unregistered taxi. So I got into an unregistered taxi. And I rode with in a really shitty car, like a really shit car. And the young guy driving, he was a young man, he was maybe 20 tops. And he was earning his keep doing taxi stuff to pay for his college, university. And that was cool. I remember even at the hotel I was told by concerned staff as I was traveling alone not to go outside after 5 o'clock in the afternoon. what the fuck am I doing in South Africa if I'm not gonna enjoy the evening in any way? Basically walk around being scared all the time. No fucking way. The thing is, you know, people who get robbed, they get robbed. I could have gotten robbed easily. That bad time in a bad place or wrong time in a wrong place can occur anytime. Honestly. So I went out for walks in the evening, no problem. The only time I actually had issues with anything was when that was broad daylight. I was walking towards the shore, and in the middle of the town there was some guy, a tall black dude who was like on drugs or something. He was coming at me with aggressive intent, and then he came at me. And these guys, there was a construction site right next door, and these guys at the construction site saw this immediately, and they dropped everything and intervened. And this guy, this junkie, saw it, so they didn't even have to do that, and he backed off, went somewhere else, and those guys went back to their construction site. That's all. I've heard scary stories, obviously. In my case, there were none. I went for walks down this shoreline later many times, and one night all these people showed up and started having picnics and everything, and then I realized, it's Ramadan. Ramadan just started, and they all came out after sundown with their kids, with their food. They had been cooking all day, and they came out and they had barbecues and everything. It was like this huge picnic festival, sort of, every night. So once at Mr. Price, which is this local cheap-ass store for Chinese-made clothing, which today would be anything from Zara to Armani, an old white crazy lady came up and talked to me, explaining about the troubles and problems of society, as it were. I remember she was intense, and as if she was telling me top secrets, and she grabbed my arm, and I got the feeling she was somewhat against black people, but not necessarily. I'm not sure. I also went to some high-class by tourist, a great and genuine South African restaurant called Mama Africa. Really unique name. It was fully booked and I couldn't get a seat, so I had to eat my first course at the bar. And I had crocodile. It was really good. You could get really good meat there. And I remember they had this live band, and they were playing really good music and everything, and suddenly this young 18-20-year-old black dude comes up and he starts singing like an opera star. I had not expected that at all. Early 20s South African Pavarotti. At this place I bought freshly caught oysters for 5 rand a pop. That's about 50 cents a pop. There was a place where like business people seemed to come, and I remember this British old fat fart at the table a few from mine. He was publicly shaming the waiter. Like, I guess the waiter had fudged up his order or something. The guy was yelling at him, started like calling him all sorts of things. Do you think you deserve a tip now? What do you think you deserve? Yes, sir. No, sir. Of course, sir. Very well, sir. That fat fart was so smugged and seemed so genuinely happy that he didn't now have to pay extra for service. What the makes you think you can talk to another person like this? On one of my last days in South Africa, I got a taxi with a guy who turned out to be Ukrainian. He had followed some woman to South Africa and married her, and now he was living there. He said, listen, you rent me for the day for this amount, and I will drop you off at this and this location and show you around. So I agreed, and he took me around, and like all Slavics, he knew how to take photographs of people. Like, he grabbed my camera and said, you know, like, you're alone. How is anybody gonna know that you're here? So he like grabbed my camera and said, go stand there. I will take pictures. He took like hundreds of pictures of me so that I could choose which one I wanted to have. Thank you very much for that. I remember on the way up Table Mountain there was this burned part, and I saw, okay, so there's clearly been a fire here. And he explained, yeah, last year there was this British dude who clearly thought that no smoking signs everywhere. Drought did not apply to him. He can probably smoke and throw his fag into the bushes, and so all of that burned. Anyway, South Africa's a really cool place. It's like all of Europe bundled into one, geographically, I mean. Plus a touch of what we call Africa. And then you switch all the animals to like lions and cheetahs and springbok and these weird rock rabbits, they call them. And even if they're called rabbits, they're not rodents. In fact, they're sort of related to the elephant. Oh yeah, I also went to this wine tasting trip thingy.